This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 316 of the Dressage Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network, brought to you by EasySignsOnline.com, EchoSketch, and TotalSaddleFit.com. Today we've got a big show. Dr. Mark Wooten from the Equine Performance Veterinary and Rehabilitation Therapy is here to talk to us about MRIs. Lisa Rakes, captain of the Lexington Horse Park Mounted Police, is going to talk to us a little bit about some groundwork and some young horse training.
This is Reese Koppler-Stanfield from Georgetown, Kentucky.
And this is Philip Parks from Ferguson, Ontario, and you're listening to the Dressage Radio Show with our expert producer today, Coach Jan.
You still owe me a beer. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. We're having some troubles today. If anyone doesn't know, we're trying to get this show done.
No troubles. Easy. It's all fine. Yeah,
it's going to be fine.
Yeah, it's that kind of day where you go out to the pasture to catch your horse to give him breakfast. He's at the opposite end of the field, and by the time you get out there, he's run to the gate, and by the time you walk to the gate, he's gotten pissed off and rolled in the dirt. And yeah, it's that kind of day.
It is, for sure. Well, as always, it's very fun to have you guys, and it's going to be a great show. We're going to start with Dr. Mark Wooten from the Equine Performax Veterinary Rehabilitation Therapy Center, and he's going to talk to us with a great discussion about MRI.
This week's EasySignsOnline.com spotlight product is their New England Style Farm Signs, their most popular line of signs. New England Style Farm Signs are very durable and designed for long-term outdoor use with no maintenance required, no wood to rot, and no paint to peel. They will outlast the old style painted wood signs by many, many years. They are available in many sizes, shapes, and styles, which makes them the perfect sign for any farm or business. Go online today and go through the EasySignsOnline.com easy step-by-step ordering process to see all the prices and options available. They also offer free, no-obligation sign proofs on all New England-style signs, and you get free shipping as well on all New England-style signs. So replace your old worn-out sign and make a great first impression with a new farm sign from EasySignsOnline.com.
And I'm so pleased to welcome to the Dressage Radio Show Dr. Mark Wooten of Equine Performax Veterinary and Rehabilitation Therapy Services at the Jekyll Center near Nashville, Tennessee. And he's going to be here talking about the Hallmark Standing Equine MRI.
Well, great to be with you. It's we've had it at our facility for a little over a year now. It's a standing MRI, which the key phrase there is standing. The horses do not require general anesthesia like they do for most any other type of equine MRI. So these horses, they do have some mild sedation, and they're put in the magnet, and they're there for, depending on what we're scanning, for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then they're right back out and ready to go home the same day. So it's a real advantage as far as that goes. The fact that you're not putting the horse to sleep is huge. And another big factor that we found too, typically we are keeping those horses overnight. We will put the horse in the magnet. The images that we generate are sent to Dr. Natasha Werpy. She's a radiologist at the University of Florida. Prior to that, she was at Colorado State University at the vet school, and she does a tremendous job of reading these MRIs for us. And a really important thing is sometimes with these cases, after we block them and localize the pain, we think to the foot. There's been a few cases that Dr. Werpy said, I'm not seeing the kind of problems here that would be causing the degree of lameness that you're telling me. Let's put the horse back in the magnet and go farther up the leg and look at that area, which, would be very difficult to do in a situation where the horse was just recovered from a general anesthesia. But in our situation, we're able to just put them right back in the magnet. And I've been amazed at some of these cases where we are finding lesions is not really where we would thought it would have been based on the diagnostic blocks that we're using. So it's kind of created a real fly in the ointment when it comes to evaluating our blocks. I've had a couple of horses that block very sound to a heel block, the low block that we do in the foot, and end up finding a lesion up near the fat lock. So,
I think it's all connected, isn't it, Dr. Mark?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's we used to think the blocks were very specific, but like I said, they're not. And how far that block travels up the nerve, or how far the actual anesthetic solution moves around farther proximal or up the leg, we really don't know in a lot of situations. So it's been very interesting in that we have found a few cases that, we had to put them right back in the magnet. And like I say, the advantage with the Hallmark standing is that we're able to just put them right back in, as opposed to putting them through another general anesthesia.
Can you describe the look of the machine? I mean, does it take up an entire room?
The MRI unit that we have from Hallmark is it's in its own modular room. They actually built the room in England. All the construction was done in England, then it was shipped over to the U.S., and it's a freestanding building that's attached onto the rest of the facility there. That the horse, you can't even tell that it wasn't actually built into it. But our system is like I said, it's a little modular building that was built specifically for the MRI magnet. You have to be real specific about the lining of the wall, so that there isn't any interference of the magnet while you're running the scan.
So you can do the whole horse, right, head to toe?
Well, no, this is strictly lower limb, and they're all about that way. MRIs are with some of the MRIs you can do heads and that sort of thing. We can't do a head with the Hallmark standing. It's pretty much specific for the lower limb, which in most of our cases that's really where we're mostly interested in.
Yeah, in horses for sure.
Right, and if it is requiring something like that, a head or something like that, no, we don't do those. But where we're really focusing are lower limb issues.
Now, for anybody that's not familiar with the MRI technology, can you describe, fairly quickly and in layman's terms, hopefully, how the MRI can help you diagnose issues?
Well, it's able to generate images not just of bone like an X-ray, or not just of soft tissue like an ultrasound, but you see the entire picture. You see everything. And I think a good way of describing MRI is looking for fluid, where it should be and where it shouldn't be. And a lot of times what we're seeing with our images is, there's an increased fluid density inside a bone. And that's one of the things that we really pick up that has been very beneficial is you can x-ray a bone and you're not going to detect any type of bone bruise or swelling or edema within that bone. But the MRI will actually pick up that, because you're getting a physiological image of what's going on in the structure rather than necessarily just a structural image. I hope that makes sense. But like I said, it's looking for fluid.
Generally you're looking for the edema that is a consequence of some sort of structural damage, correct? Correct. Exactly. And you're not going to pick that up in a bone with an X-ray. And there's a lot of things that with the ultrasound we can pick up a lot with it. But I think the sensitivity of the MRI is so much greater than what we're getting with the ultrasound image. And there are certain parts, particularly in the feet. I think that's where most often veterinarians are really looking for help in aiding in a diagnosis of what's going on with a particular horse, is what's going on in the feet. Because
all we have is X-ray, and we can't really. And there's so many potential soft tissue injuries inside the foot that we can ultrasound that area. Well, we have a limited area that we can ultrasound, very small. Whereas the MRI will give us all those structures that we have no other way of seeing other than MRI.
Now, traditionally, the drawback of doing an MRI is the general anesthesia. Not all horses are great, to put them under anesthesia. So the standing one is a great benefit.
Exactly. I think that we were when Teresa brought us into her facility. One of the things she asked, she says, "I want to have everything that there's possible to have." So I said, "Well, if you really want to have everything, you need an MRI." So we started investigating, looking around, and we really saw the benefit of the standing procedure as opposed to the knockdown procedure. So there are some disadvantages, to be quite honest with you, with the standing MRI. It is a low field magnet as opposed to a high field magnet that most of the knockdown MRIs are. And so there is a bit more image quality and a few things that they're going to see a little better. But I kind of equate it to, okay, you're looking at a regular television or you're looking at a high resolution television. You're going to see the same picture. Maybe just a little prettier picture, but other than that, I think the advantages of the not going through a general anesthesia are so much that that's why we decided to go with the Hallmark MRI. And over the years, they have really done a great job of perfecting their MRI and their images. They've done a tremendous job of that. Initially, some of the images weren't that great, and there was concern about the least little bit of motion. If anybody's ever had an MRI, you know how still they want you to be when you're in the magnet. Where they've developed their software where they can weed out some of those problems from the slightest little motion, and it's not a problem anymore. So the images that we're getting from the Hallmark standing MRI are really good.
Now, are there any other drawbacks to an MRI for somebody who doesn't have experience with it? I mean, it's not. I think no machine is the be all end all in diagnosis. So maybe you want to talk a little bit about some complications or issues if there are any.
Well, I don't know that we've had any real complications. I'll be honest with you. You get so much information back as a veterinarian. I'm going, okay, let me try and correlate all this with what I'm seeing, and I think we're still trying to. Okay, we see this, and is this something that is just kind of goes along with a performance animal that's worked hard, and how much of it is interpreting our results? How much of this is really something that is clinically significant and causing our problems, and how much of this is just the wear and tear that you'll see with any athlete. It was interesting with the meeting with the Hallmark folks. The man who started the company was telling us that he used to be in human MRIs, and the company that he was with did a lot in England with the soccer teams, evaluating the soccer players prior to signing them to a team. And he said they got used to seeing a lot of stuff in those soccer players that they just kind of overlooked. And he also said it was interesting. Yeah. Some of those teams actually wanted to see players that had wear and tear and issues that were continuing to play, as opposed to some guy that was perfectly normal and had nothing, because they didn't know how he would respond if he ever was injured. So I thought, well, that's pretty interesting that, they wanted to see, just what kind of pain tolerance an individual had. And we see that with some of our horses. I mean, we look at x-rays on some horses and go, oh my gosh, how is he ever performing? And they continue to go right on. And you look at other horses, and of course you don't really see anything. And that's where a big benefit with MRI. I've seen a few horses that navicular shots and that sort of thing look perfectly normal. And on the MRI, the bone was very swollen, very edematous, and in a lot of pain. So without that, we wouldn't know really what was going on in that. So it's really been a huge plus.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up, because it is. I mean, the more information you have, the better. But then you have to decide. I think the term you used was great. Was clinical significance of what you're looking at, right? Because you can
Right,
go in there
exactly.
and find a whole lot more problems than what you were really looking for. And as a
Exactly,
veterinarian, how do you go about that? Determining what information is useful and what is not after you do the MRI.
I'll be quite honest with you, Philip. I think that's a work in progress. I mean, each case is kind of taken individually of let's look at this and see what we've got. And then, some of them are very easy. If you've got a horse that's got a tremendous amount of bone edema, okay, let's shut this guy down. We just have to give this rest is the only thing that's going to really help that. I mean, there are some other things that we do therapeutically, but still the horse is going to have to be shut down. And it does give us we see something like that, we go, okay, that's going to heal. We give that time, it's going to be okay. Other things we see, like maybe some collateral ligament injuries around the coffin joint there, where there's a lot of bone lysis and loss of bone density around that attachment. Those guys don't do so good. We just seem to have problems with those guys coming back. So a big factor in MRI is actually giving us prognosis. Do we have any type of injury here that, boy, these guys can come back and that sort of thing. So I think we're still working our way through that. There's certain things, like I saw we had a horse the other day that had a severe adhesion of the deep flexor tendon to the navicular bone. And that doesn't carry a very good prognosis for us, to be quite honest with you. It's hard to tell the owner that, oh, yeah, we do this and everything's going to be fine. So I think that's where we're really starting to develop a database of, okay, this is an injury that carries a good prognosis with, some healing, some therapy that we can do, or this is a type of injury that we probably are going to have some chronic issues with. And that horse's future is maybe in question. But it does give
sounds
you
like
that.
It's just
the
more
give you that information.
Yeah, the more that you get, the more experience you have with the machine, the more diagnoses that you do, the better you get at it. I think that's part of being a veterinarian.
Exactly.
So I was interested in your answer to that question.
Yeah, it was. It's one of those kind of cases you find this, you go, maybe we don't want to keep going around this circle trying to treat this horse, because this probably isn't ever going to get fully resolved. It's going to be a chronic issue for its entire life. And you're able to find that kind of information with the MRI as opposed to what we were able to do with our previous imaging modalities. So it's a work in progress, and it's still a learning thing. But it's been a real plus, and I think in the years to come, it's going to become more and more something that we rely on. And I think in a lot of places, with the upper level horses, it's actually even being used as a tool in pre-purchase exam also.
Right. So, Dr. Mark, can we talk a little bit about the cost of using the MRI or getting your horse in to have an MRI done?
Yeah, our fee is for specific areas $2,300. That's for the first one. Now on repeats, it goes down from there. I think the first repeat is $1,900, second repeat is $1,600. So it's really nice to be able to get that reduction in price and reevaluate these horses to see how our healing's going. And it's also been really nice. We're kind of starting to correlate it with our other therapeutic modalities. We try and get these horses back moving as quickly as possible after injury, and we're using them in the treadmill and that sort of thing. And it's been really nice to see, okay, we've got them in treadmill. They seem to be doing okay with it. Let's rescan it and see if we're actually doing any structural damage to it. So far, those horses have actually continued to improve in spite of, not just setting them in the stall like we did in the past, but actually getting them back into some type of physical rehabilitation.
Well, for sure, it's going to help your ability to like you said, speed up the healing and just do the best things for the horses if you can continue to evaluate how they're doing and how they're healing or not healing, and you can adjust your program and the whole thing just gets better and better, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Exactly. It's another great tool, and as many tools as we can have in the box, the better off we're going to be. And this is proving to be an excellent tool for determining those horses that we really think that we can rehabilitate and bring back, and also not beating our head against the wall on a horse that probably has some injuries that we're not going to get him back to the level of work and that sort of thing.
Well, there's certainly nothing more frustrating for a competitor than chasing their tail around for 6 months or a year trying to figure out why the horse is having an issue. And this sounds like a very, very useful tool for not just diagnosing, but also tracking the progression towards getting back to work. So I would like to thank you again, Dr. Mark Wooten from Equine Performax Veterinary and Rehabilitation Therapy Services. That's a real mouthful over there at the Jekyll Center. And
yes, it is.
Yes, it is. And folks can find Dr. Wooten, and you can go online to thejekyllcenter.com. And that's hard to spell, so you can go to dressageradioshow.com online, and we'll have a link there to it. Or if you Google it, it'll come right up. And thanks you again, Dr. Wooten.
It was great to be with you guys again. Enjoyed it very much.
Glenn the Geek here. The life of horse person is hard enough, and we all hate doing the required paperwork, and unfortunately many of us never get around to it, and it just piles up on our desk. That is about to change thanks to the EquiSketch Records app for your iPhone or iPad. My wife and I use it to track our horses, and we absolutely love this thing. EquiSketch Records is the most thorough and complete equestrian records app on the market today. We love this app because you can track your farrier work, your dental, your coggins, medicines, worming, and so much more. And you can get reminders on your device when all of these things are due. You'll never forget a worming or shots or farrier visit again. But it not only tracks your horse, you can also manage your horse shows, including individual events. You can manage riders, including lessons and memberships, and so much more. And you can sync it between your iPhone and your iPad, and all of this for the price of a couple of cups of coffee from Starbucks. Search for EquiSketch Records in the iOS App Store or go to equisketch.com. That's EquiSketch.com. EquiSketch.com.
Well, everybody knows how much Philip and I love the Total Saddle Fit shoulder relief girth. We use it all the time. We love it. Both of us have had issues with horses being girthy, and we put this girth on and fantastic. So actually, I use it on pretty much all my horses. However, last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago, I actually brought in my old retired mare. Her name is Meep, or I showed her under Jamaica, and she's 24. And she's been actually off for 2 years. And I thought, I have a wonderful working student who needed a horse to ride. And, I own this horse that did.
She's not been off. She's been making babies and stuff.
She made babies. And then, I retired her and that kind of stuff. And so she's been off. And I just decided, you know what? I needed a horse. And I thought, well, let me see if she's 24 now. But let me see if she can come up and work a little bit. And I will tell you, she's so excited to be up and working every day. She just loves it. She trots up to the barn. It's so cool to see her sort of back in work and having a job again. But let me tell you what, Big Mama is her nickname. Big Mama is so fat. Like, she's been muzzled since like March, but she's so fat. So somehow another girth got on her and it gave her the worst rub. It was terrible. I felt so bad for her because she's had fat rolls. She's so fat. And I was like, why did you not put the shoulder relief girth on her? And I honestly, we put that shoulder relief girth on and we've had absolutely zero trouble with the girth rub. So that is another success story that I've had here in my own barn. We are working on Big Mama's weight. I don't know how she's like breathing the grass. I don't know. She's so fat.
Baby weight, Reese. It's just baby weight.
She had a baby, like her baby's 3. So, I have not had children, so I'm not going down that road. But I think it's just a beautiful Kentucky grass she's been eating on. But she's working on it. But let me tell you, I hadn't used it on such an obese horse before, the shoulder relief girth, and it's been fantastic. So just another wonderful tip to use the shoulder relief girth. It's great, and I'll keep you all apprised on how we are. We actually went up a hole the other day, so we are stepping it up. I'm excited. She's on the biggest one that I have, and we were like 1-1, so now we're like 2-1, or maybe 2-2.
Well, I can totally see that. The girth is cut out, around that elbow area, So there's way less rubbing, way less problems. The girth fits the horse, right? The way the horse is built, and puts the pressure where it's supposed to be, keeps it away from where it's not supposed to be, and it's just a super product, and we really love the girths. So thank you, Justin. Another horse.
Thank
Thanks
you,
Justin.
Another horse. Big Mama, thanks you. And actually, we are now for our total saddle fit tip of the week. We have Captain Lisa Rakes from the Kentucky Horse Park Mounted Police, who actually is going to talk a little bit about Hannah, who, funny enough, is Big Mama's daughter. So I hope you enjoy this discussion on how some different ways to train young horses. Well, this evening, it is my pleasure to have my friend and fellow coworker. She's here at the barn a lot. Captain Lisa Rakes on the show. Lisa, welcome.
Thank you, Reese. I really appreciate it.
Well, we've been talking about having you on the show for several weeks because we had one of my young horses graduate, and you've been working with her since she was a yearling.
She was. She is the perfect little Hannah.
Yes, she really has become quite a lady because of the work you've done with her, really, because I can't say it was me. And I asked you to come on the show because I think it's really cool for people to hear sort of different techniques of breaking horses and how we sort of desensitize our horses as dressage horses. So that's what I really wanted to talk about tonight. So let's get started. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll talk about Hannah just a bit. That type of horse, the sort of the clean slate, so to speak, is probably my favorite type of horse to work with. And working with them when they're young, I think, is a perfect opportunity. Get them before they get big and can outmuscle you. And we can take them and kind of mold them where they're a little easier to work with. Once they learn something bad through that repetitive behavior, as they grow older, it just seems more of a challenge to correct and or fix. So starting them out young and catching them before that behavior really sets in seems to be the best. And for me, that's the most fun. I like them when they're young and kind of you just see them grow and see the changes in them.
So Hannah is 3 now, and I think you started working with her when she was pretty young, like 6 months.
She was pretty small.
Yeah, which was
remember.
Good.
No, I brought you in. She wouldn't go in the stall, I think.
Right. That was
anymore.
The biggest thing. Yes. I really knew I needed some help with my young horse when she wouldn't go in the stall. We were really struggling to lead her. And I just thought that we needed some more professional help. So I asked Lisa to come, and we've had lots of other horses that we've worked together with. But she was really interesting because she was the youngest I've ever had you come in. And so, you really worked on, and you worked on haltering and bridling and all kinds of things. And then as time progressed, you worked on trailering. So can you talk a little bit kind of about that progression and how you worked with the young horses that way?
Sure. The thing about starting them out from the ground, which is what I did with Hannah, because obviously she's 6 months of age, we want to teach the leadership, sort of some leadership there. No different than the mare horse would do with the foal. So usually the horses are much bigger than the human. So what we need to do is try to make ourselves as tall or as long as the horse sometimes. So how can we influence their nose when they try to walk over us, or how can we influence their hind end when they put their butt to us? That's sometimes the challenge and the key to being able to handle a horse from the ground. So when I handle a horse from the ground, a lot of times I'll use a stick. It don't have to be necessarily a certain kind of stick. There are certain ones that I do like to use best. But the thing about a stick that works good, or even the end of a rope, is that if the horse decides to shoulder into me, so say you're leading him down the road or leading him down the barn aisleway, and he starts to shoulder into you and push you out of the way, if you can learn to control the nose, the horse will go where the nose goes, right? So sometimes the stick or the tip of the rope, I may use that to influence the nose to go back the other direction. And then once they learn to respect your little bubble, your personal space, say your hula hoop that you may have around you, then things become so much easier. And then they learn to stay out of your space. The same thing for the hind end. So Hannah, one of the challenges we had with her is when she was in the stall, and you would go open the door, she would put her butt to the door. And so then in order to go in and halter her, her butt's right there in the way. Well, that's never good for any horse, because then they're lined up to give you a kick and do other things. So we want to teach that horse that when we look at them in a certain way, especially at their butt, that they zip the butt back around and give you two eyes. So when we got their attention, that means when they give us two eyes, they're focused on us, and they're just much easier to handle. So if you're leading that horse down the barn or down the arena or outside, and the horse starts to maybe pull on you and pull past you, you learn to influence that hind end, and when you get that hind end to disengage, it takes the power away. So you can bring that horse back around much easier. So he doesn't take you skiing when you're lunging him, as often happens to us. So we want to try to, control those body parts as much as we can.
Lisa, I was wondering if we could just take a step back and you could talk to us about, your background and how you came to be an expert about this, kind of in-hand training and horse starting. Where did that start for you?
Well, I don't consider myself an expert. I feel like I learn something every day. With that said, I have been working with police horses since 1996. I started out with a thoroughbred, trying to make a thoroughbred into a police horse, which at some point in time you figure out is probably not the best thing, but you're young, you don't really know, you're going by what history the guys before you have always done. So now we don't rely as much on thoroughbreds. Then it's a thoroughbred country, and that's what we use. But so at some point after my first year or two of having little accidents happen, I realized that, I need to do something different here. Maybe it's not all the horse's fault. So maybe I got to look at how am I training the horse. Horse is a horse. All horses are different, but it boils down to kind of all the same. They all respect the same body language. So maybe I need to change myself. I need to train myself to do different things to influence their behavior. So I probably got into that maybe around 2000, figuring out that, I need to do more groundwork with my horse before I think about getting on him. Here's one of the tests that I just never, it's something that I just do because it's a safe thing to do. If I take my horse up to a mountain block and I'm going to ride him, and the horse cannot sit still for me to get on, or if I'm going to mount him from the ground and he cannot sit still for me to put my foot in the stirrup, clue, the horse is not ready for me to get on. So then I take that horse and I do a few things with him on the ground, get his mind, get his attention. If he's high on adrenaline, I get some of that adrenaline out before I get on him, and then I'll try again. But so I learn things through that process, and then every day, every time I work with a new horse, I feel like I learn just a little bit something different. So now we're working with 3 foals, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and 3 months that are orphans, and they're just adorable. But at the same time, they need leadership. So I can't be afraid, but, I want to give them hugs and kisses and cuddle them. But at the same time, I can't be afraid to reach out and bite them, just as the mother horse would if they decide to do something bad. So my history, police work, I was hired as a police officer in 1990. Started police horses in 96, and I'm still riding police horses and working police horses and helping my friend Reese and some other folks that I know on the side.
And Lisa is awesome at what she does. And so, Lisa, let's talk a little bit about how we deal with some of the other horses that we've worked with here at the farm. Some spooky ones, or even, we've had horses that are spooky that Lisa comes to work with, or even we've had some riders that are fearful. And we've been very successful with Lisa working with them to sort of help with their fears. So can we talk a little bit about that, Lisa?
Yep. Sometimes with the riders, they're, in a way, I feel like sometimes the riders are more of a challenge than the horse, if that makes any sense, because we, the humans, we're sometimes set in our ways, and it's hard to kind of change our behavior because a lot of times we're older, maybe, and we have always done it this way. And it's hard to change to a different way. But if we can learn sometimes how to do things just slightly different. And then the other part of that pie is it takes time. A lot of us want to just get in the saddle and saddle up and go. And groundwork takes a little more time than maybe we had because we're ready for a lesson or we got to hurry up and get to the show. So the riders are a little bit more of a challenge sometimes, I feel. But we can still work on fixing ourselves with learning these different body cues and how to teach the horse to respect us more as a leader, because that's really what it boils down to. He'll try. The horse will try little tricks to do what he wants to do, and it's just up to us to read that and kind of catch it early enough. And then as far as horses, just different types of little problems that, like Reese, I helped with Hannah doing the trailer loading. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times we don't necessarily think trailer loading is that big a deal. Sometimes we'll spend an hour getting them in the trailer every time we go to the show. They're the same way every time. It takes an hour to load them. But if we would just take a day or maybe 30 minutes, 7 different times, 30 minutes, then that horse, when it does come time to go to the show, the horse will just load perfectly. And I think, Reese, you saw that with Hannah. I probably spent, 30 minutes just working on the trailer, and I probably did it, I would do it a day here, a day there, a month later, I would do a little more. And if you probably added it all up, I bet we didn't work on the trailer, but maybe 7 or 8 different times. And it was like 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there. And then when it come time, Reese, for you to load her up and go, I think you told me you just walked straight on in.
Well, and I think that's a huge deal that, we take for granted sometimes with our horses. And I'm that's actually a huge pet peeve of mine. And I knew that I didn't have the time or patience really to work with Hannah. So I brought Lisa. Lisa had been consistently working with her, and it was great. And we even had some wonderful clients. She would load in my trailer, and then she would load in some clients' trailers. Happened to be there, so she got a lot of experience in step ups and ramps and big trailers, little trailers, and that was really, really helpful. And now she loads like a superstar. No problem at all. She goes right in, which is great. Yeah. But it does take that time to do that.
Right. Yeah. And we got to recognize the little things. We want to make the wrong act uncomfortable for them. We want them to find the open door, so to speak. And when for instance, fly spray. So a lot of horses, you go put fly spray on them, and what do? They dance around. They won't sit still because they're afraid of the fly spray. But when they do move their feet, when they move their feet, a lot of times we'll quit spraying. So then the horse learns, oh wait, that bad fly spray that's scary to me, all I had to do was run sideways and it quit. So we have to look to re-strategize and think, you know what, that's probably not the right thing to do. We need to keep on spraying that fly spray and let the horse stay in a tight little circle to where it can't get away from it until it stops moving its feet. And then we take the scary thing away. So then the horse learns to not, when he stops moving his feet, he's not afraid of it anymore. So that's one of the just a little one of the little ways the way we do it, as far as teaching them not to become afraid of something.
That's awesome. I mean, do you have another little tip or something that you see really common in riders where they make the same sort of mistakes that is, you know, fairly straightforward and easy to fix?
A lot of times, for instance, you know, you get on. The first thing to do, your butt hits the saddle, you're on a high adrenaline horse, and then he just wants to go. So we let them go. We may let them go in large around the arena circles, and they're really pulling at the bit. They want to go faster than we want them to go. And it almost feels like you're sitting waiting for an explosion to happen. And we're trying to hold them back because they really want to go. So I look at it the other way. If the horse really wants to go, you know what? It's better just to let them go. Now, am I going to take off flying around the arena? No way, Jose. I'm going to put the horse in a tight circle. Now, it won't be so tight that he'll fall down, but I want to make the circle small enough that it's a little uncomfortable for him, and I'm going to let him move his feet. When we keep them from moving their feet, when they're on that adrenaline, that's when an explosion is likely to occur. They're either going to rear up, they're going to run sideways, or they're going to do something because they can't move their feet. That's their only outlet. So I'm going to let the horse move his feet. I might put him in a tight circle, and I may ask him to trot real fast, and I'll change gait or I'll change direction, may canter a few steps. But I want to do a frequent change to where I get him thinking about me as the rider, as opposed to just running mindless circles and thinking about how he wants to be on the other side of the fence, or he wants to be back over at the barn where his buddies are. And I want to get him to thinking about me. I may rein him back, back him up 6 or 7 paces, and then I may disengage the hindquarters and go off in another direction and do things real sort of snappy to keep his mind engaged. And once we can get him to become a little in tune with us, realize that we are actually controlling his feet, that we're the leader of the little team of 2 that we have, me and him, then he'll start paying more of attention. He'll blow out, release some of that stress he's got going on, and calm down and be a little more easy to work with.
It sounds like you're just directing the energy into something that you want to do rather than, just stopping or halting or, doing something with all that energy that the horse has.
You're exactly right. We want to make our idea his idea. We just got to figure out how to do it.
Yeah. That's a great tip. I thank you a lot for that.
We're good.
Well, Lisa, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. These were awesome tips for all of us to remember and to use. And, it's really been a very interesting journey learning how to do some of the groundwork that we do. And it's been fantastic. And we have really produced some very, very nice young horses that are well behaved. And we do work together on older horses as well. So on trailer loading and all kinds of things. So Lisa, thank you so much for your time. And if our listeners want to learn more about you and your methods, how can they find you online?
I don't think I'm out there as far as on a website. So maybe they can just talk to you.
Okay, that sounds great. But, they can give me a call at Reset or an email. Yeah, an email at resetHorseRadioNetwork.com, and I can help you get in touch with Lisa. Thanks so much, Lisa, for your time. Well, as always, we love email and Facebook shout outs. And I'm going to give a shout out to Vanna. I actually saw her today at the horse park. There was it was a rally. It was a pony club rally, dressage rally. And we were working on qualifying for the championships. And she asked a great question about young riders and development. But we're going to save that for the next show because we've had quite a great show today, huh, Philip?
It's been a long show.
It's been
I like it. I like it, but I'm getting tired.
And
everybody knows. Tired. Well, not everybody knows, but when I start to get tired at the end of the show, then the zone out thing happens, and then it's not good.
If you've ever listened to our bloopers, it's always Philip zoning out. So most of the bloopers are Philip.
70% of the bloopers is just me not being around anymore.
Philip Philip. So
Are you
you'll
awake?
have to listen to the blooper reel. And I know that listeners can go online and be part of that and get into that segment by becoming a friend of the show. So you can find our show notes and links to today's guests on our website, dressageradio.com. Like us on Facebook, just search Dressage Radio Show. Follow us on Twitter at Horse Radio. My website is maplecrestfarmky.com, and my email is reese@horseradionetwork.com.
You can find me at philipparksequestrian.com, and my email is philip@horseradionetwork.com. I'd like to thank our sponsors for allowing us to put on a show today, and don't forget to check out all the other shows on the Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com.
Everybody, keep your heels down and your shoulders back, and we'll talk to you next week.
And for all of you hoping to hear from Olivia Lagoya Welts on today's show, I want to apologize. Due to a post-production problem, we were not able to bring you that interview, but fear not, we'll have her on a show coming up soon.